Yeah, absolutely. Friends, if I could have your attention for a moment, we will begin the service in just a few moments. If I could ask everyone to please take their seats. And a gentle reminder, if anybody has a cell phone, to please take a moment to turn on silent. Friends, you may be seated. Friends, thank you so much for being here. On behalf of the family, I want to thank everybody for joining us here in the chapel, and for those who are on the live stream. In just a moment, we will begin the service for Andrea F. Upin Deutch. Officiating our service today is Rabbi Yaakov Dvorin.
We begin the service with a number of selections from text. In each case, I will begin with the Hebrew to be true to the original and follow it up with the English translation. So it can be understood. The first from the book of Isaiah. Kol omer kra v'amar ma ekra, kol basar chatzir v'chol chasto ketzitza sadeh. Yavesh chatzir navel tzitz ki ruach Adonai nashva bo, achen chatzir ha'am, Yavesh chatzir navel tzitz udvar Eloheinu yakum li'olam. A voice says, cry out, and I say, what shall I cry? All flesh is grass, and all its beauty is like the flower of the field. The grass withers, the flower fades when a wind of the Lord blows upon it. Surely the people are grass, the grass withers, the flower fades, but the word of our God shall endure forevermore. From the book of Tehillim, the book of Psalms. Karachem av al banim richem Adonai al yireav. Ki hu yada yitzreinu zachur ki afar anachnu. Enosh kechatzir yamav ketzitz hasadeh ken yatzitz. Ki ruach avra bo ve'enenu v'lo yakirenu od mekomo. V'chesed Adonai me'olam v'yad olam al yireav v'tzidkaso livnei vanim. Tender as parents are with their children, the Lord is merciful with his worshipers. He knows how we are fashioned. He remembers that we are but dust. The days of human beings are as grass. We flourish as flowers in the field. The wind passes over it, and it is gone, and no one can recognize from where it grew. But the Lord's compassion for his worshipers, his righteousness to children's children remain age after age unchanging. And once again from the book of Isaiah, Al tira ki imcha ani, Al tishta ki ani Elohecha, im matzticha af azarticha, af temachticha b'min sidki. Fear not, for I am with you. Be not dismayed, for I am your God. I will strengthen you, I will help you, I will sustain you through my power. Family and friends, as impossible to believe as it is, we gather here together to pay final tribute and bid farewell to the departed soul of Andrea Upin Deutch, Chana Fega Bat Littman Verickel, who at the age of 73 years was suddenly and unexpectedly called to her final resting place in the world to come this past Monday, February 5th, the 27th day in the Hebrew month of Shvat. And as I've shared with family, in so many ways, I have no real words of comfort or healing for Andrea's loving family. Along with everyone assembled here today, I am, and you are, stunned, shocked, and dumbfounded by this tragic and unforeseen passing of someone so beloved, so well thought of as Andrea. It's difficult beyond words to accept and to get into my own head that I and we won't be seeing her again, at least not in this world, speaking with her once more, taking in all her wisdom, her clearly thought out directions in life from her considerable experiences and life-changing events, which she was happy to share. Andrea was an exceptional person. She was loved by everyone by virtue of her goodness, her kindness, her thoughtfulness, her decency. She was a high achiever and someone who worked hard to accomplish. Her life was filled with extraordinary events, acts of civility and consideration, which benefited others and ultimately helped to make her the remarkable individual that she was. You meet her, and in a moment, you come to the conclusions. What a fine person, personable, pleasant, friendly, open, warm, approachable. And you say, what a wonderful, wonderful person. And nothing occurs in any time you meet with her, visit with her, speak with her that changes your mind from that. She was a remarkable and an unforgettable person who made her mark in a short amount of time on everybody and changed lives for the better. Many believe, as I do, that there's nothing as genuine and sincere as hearing descriptive recollections from family members, especially at a time like this when we need to say that final goodbye. So we'll hear from a number of Andrea's family members. We'll begin first with her grandson, Natan.
Safta was a strong and brave woman. She worked hard every day to get things done. I will always be inspired by and love Safta. Safta died at a young age of 73. Safta was the mother of Charles Deutch, Harry Deutch, Ben Deutch, and Rob Deutch. She was the Safta of Emma, Natan, Ezra, Eden, Nathaniel, Ella, Amalia, Ellie, Leon, and Zoe. She was the sister of Ira Upin and Leonard Upin. Safta was a beloved and dedicated young children's teacher for over 40 years. She changed many lives of both teachers and children. She never let go of her Jewish faith and identity, and was a supporter of Israel. Safta was a bike rider and walker. She was a breast cancer survivor. She loved going on super long walks with Loki. She will be missed a lot by all of us. Thank you for joining me today, and rest in peace, Safta. I, Natan Deutsch, ask all of you to always remember Safta and keep her close to your heart.
Thank you, Natan. And I know you'll understand this, as will everyone here. Your words far beyond your chronological age. Now call on Andrea's son, Ben, for his remarks.
I don't want to go. I want to stay in limbo, and that way this won't be real. I won't have to deal with this reality. Let it just stay a dream that I don't wake up from. The plane is about to take off, and all I pray for is a rain delay, snow or sleet. I close my eyes, and I see her face. I stop writing and I cry. Then, in a normal tone and voice, answer to the dialogue with Harry. What is this reality that I'm finding myself in? Everything is jumbled together at the same time. Calm, collective, distraught, heartbroken, anxious, excited, aware of it all, and not understanding anything. I take a deep breath, deep to my stomach and into my chest, while continuing to write. Drying tears stand still on my face, no doubt to be accompanied by more to come. All I need to do is be, think, remember, and imagine, and here they come back. My mind goes blank, then numb, and I continue writing a story that will continue through me, and if this is what I read out loud, then to you all as well. How do I write these words? My pen won't allow it. My hand won't let my pen allow it. I still have 25 hours. There's still time. No need to rush. I put down the pen. I settle in for a flight, and to my thoughts, the lights go dark and we're off. Physical and mental destinations coincide. So far from this new reality, unlike the one I knew before yesterday. I just hope for comfort for it all. Contradiction back and forth between what is, what was, and what will be. My brain and heart tell me that I couldn't write the words because it's not true. My mom is gone. Now it's easier to write. Now I can put it on paper because I find contradiction, so it hurts less. I'd say she's gone in the physical, but remains in the spirit. I'd say that she's looking over me, and she's the reason that Harry had a kosher meal, spontaneously, extra, which doesn't happen in the real world. And it was her way, or God's, of making sure he didn't go hungry during our travels to say goodbye. I'd say these things because they sound comforting, but in my reality, I just don't know. And that will stay between me, her, and God, or the universe, or whatever existential element I choose to have faith in. Since knowing and faith might be a contradiction and might not, again, I don't know. But what I do know is that she isn't gone from the physical, at least not entirely. Her voice remains in recordings. Her figure remains in pictures. Her love and caring remains in the memories spoken from all those who met her, who were blessed to have their lives touched and taught by her. She remains in the physical in her 4 sons, in Chuck's height and his hair, in Harry's demeanor and his softness, in my dashing good looks and smile, and in Rob's innocence and strength. She's in the physical, in all her grandkids, and even in Loki's mischievous nature. For those who don't know, that's her 1-year-old black lab. She remains in the spirit through her name, her lessons, her blessings, my heart, and in my dreams. Mom was a queen, and she didn't even know it. Always stylish, even in street clothes, and especially Purim costumes. She would walk into a room and would be greeted by so many, always humbled, never with a desire of being the center of attention. She never needed to be seen because she always was. Whether she knew it or not. She did know how to talk, though. Whoo, boy, did she. I remember being on the phone with her one Friday evening just before Shabbat. I was living in Tel Aviv. And at the time, I was getting ready to be picked up from my adopted mom, Rachel, to be brought to her house in Herzliya for dinner with my adopted brothers. Subsequently, I'm 3rd out of 4 boys there as well. Anyways, I remember being picked up and driven at least 20 minutes, if not a bit more, with a phone to my ear as Mom was talking about, I'm certain, the weather, Chicago, work and her kids, the grocery store, the car repair, what she ate for lunch, when she saw the mailman, the neighbors across the street, the neighbor next door, the weather again, and how she hated the cold, what she's gonna make for dinner, what she made for dinner the week before, and probably stuff about the family, about grandma, about her puzzles, and of course, the weather again. 20 minutes. I didn't say a word. Just listened and smiled while nodding yes when Rachel asked me quietly if she was still talking. She always had what to say, and I loved to listen. She also knew just how to listen. We could easily end up in conversations where my phone would cut us off, twice even, due to the length of the call. 4 and 5 hour conversations would fly by really quick. She was my go-to for so many things. She was my mom. She was amazing. I wasn't the easiest kid to raise. Quite emotional, getting in trouble, not feeling well on the regular due to hard times in school, and so on. And no matter what the situation, no matter how frustrated she might have gotten with me, my mom was my biggest advocate. She was always at countless teacher-parent meetings, speaking on my case. She was always there for last-minute assignments that I hadn't started. Can't see. That I hadn't started yet, pulling all-nighters with me just so I could have something worthwhile to turn in. She used to read to me books from school and never once gave me grief for asking her to go back a page or two, since my mind could easily wander off. She spent a week in Israel, unbeknownst to me, just so she could surprise me at my swearing-in ceremony in the army. My voice went up several octaves when being turned around and seeing her and hearing, "Hi, Ben." She always found a way, no matter the cost, because that was just her, and she was awesome at being her. Lifetimes of memories, now to make our last one together, yet this one, as I write this and imagine it, is not one I'm ready for. It's not one I want. I remember being 9 after a skin grafting for receding gun lines, something I was told to thank Grandma's jeans for. I remember being in so much pain. All I could do was eat popsicles. It's one of my fondest memories. Mom, popsicles, Yankee Doodle Dandy and George M. Cohan, and pain. Pain that I would gladly switch for the pain I feel now. If it meant spending more time with Mom, laughing with her, conversing with her about God, religion, the weather, baking, the dogs, healthy living, the beauty of life, faith, gardening, the weather, or just being there, sitting in silence, drinking tea, her holding my hand, my head on her shoulders, or hers on mine, a gift given to me for so many years. I have heard quite often how life is a gift that should never be obvious, that we will wake up and that gratitude is the first thing to do in the morning. It can sometimes be the hardest thing to do when pain and suffering is felt. And I guess that is what makes it so powerful of a practice. The sincerity in saying thank you, especially when hurting and when hard, for me, has been a humbling and strengthening experience, and one that I request and recommend to all. Maybe even now, or maybe later, thank someone sincerely for just showing up. Thank yourself for giving to you, even if it's something small. Or thank God, or whatever you may connect to, for giving you another day, another chance to be, to give, to experience, to hurt, and to love. Over the last few years, I have heard, learned, and been confused about faith, existence, belief, love, and life. I have heard of connections between Kabbalistic ideas, Eastern medicine, and spirituality, conflicting Jewish ideals and values, religion versus spirituality, oneness, togetherness, chakras, and meridian lines. I've heard used and used myself the word energy so much, and how we think we know so much about it, and at the same time know so little. Yet, a bit of what I've gathered is that energy connects science and religion, is known as ki, chi, chai, prana, emotion or energy in motion, emotion, God, love, and life, just to name a few. Energy is what moves us, strengthens us, and is ever flowing. Energy is what connected all of us to my beautiful mother and continues to connect us. Energy can give us faith, and faith can give us energy, balance, and connection. I don't know where it comes from. I do have faith that there is something greater than me, something watching out for me, something to be grateful for, and in hopes to not be taken for granted. Faith is not religion, though it helps to connect and find faith. Faith is purer than that, and faith can be found even in the smallest things, like a bumblebee or a breath. I said I'm not ready for this, but that's inaccurate. I am, because Mom helped guide me on my journey to this point. I am strong, empathetic, smart, calm, and capable because she did her best and so much more. One thing helps ease my mind when thinking of a future without her. My mom worried about things from time to time. She worried about the situation of the world. She worried about her family. And she worried about me. I used to tell her not to, and she would always respond that she was my mother and it's her job to worry about us. So it brings me ease to know she no longer has to worry about me, as she can rest in the physical and stays as light and pure love in the spiritual. I want to share just one more memory, and that is of our most recent battle with one another. It happened about a week ago, and it was over WhatsApp. I thought she started it, but just now when I looked back, I guess I did. I sent her 2 emojis, one after another, ending with the kiss heart emoji. She then proceeded by sending me Winnie the Pooh heart stickers, to which I replied with heart emojis, to which she continued with more stickers. I tried bombarding her with hearts. But there she was, responding with more and more stickers, laughing all the way and stating that she had only just gotten started. This continued for about 12 minutes. I seceded, and she won. Then she went to eat breakfast. I bake because of you. Thank you for baking with me. I care because of you. Thank you for caring for me. I am because of you. Thank you for being my mom. I love you forever and always. Thank you.
Thank you, Ben. Truly words from the heart. Now call on Andrea's son, Charles, for your thoughts and recollections.
I wasn't ready for this. I definitely wasn't ready. I had jotted down some thoughts. A lot of it came to me yesterday as I went to my mom's house and was starting to look through pictures. And I I opened up a drawer, and my speech is kind of all over the place. Everybody's told to put their cell phones away. If everybody would take out their cell phones, I'm just curious to know how many pictures you guys have saved on your phone. You guys can shout it out. It's okay. Thousands. I have 3,038, but my SIM card is not working right in my phone, so there's probably a lot more. I open up, it's easy to find, it's hard to find pictures on your cell phone when you have that many pictures. It's even harder when you open up a drawer at your mom's house and the entire drawer is full to the brim of Walgreens individual pictures that have not made it into albums, and there was a lot to go through. And I didn't know what was in any of them at all, so it's just kind of opening it up and having to go through one by one and trying to pull out the pictures. So why do I say that? Most of you probably know, or if you don't, my mom hated technology. Hated it. Couldn't stand the stuff. Didn't know, wanted to just go back to the old times when it wasn't. She had to remember 1,500 different passwords of different lengths and had it written down in a little book with her username and passwords. And even then, with it written down, maybe she didn't update it. So then she'd have problems trying to find out and flip through more of the pages of this little pad, trying to find the password for her to log in. And then when she logged in, or they changed her phone or an app or something like that, why did they change this? It was fine the way it was. Now it's not on the thing. Where is it? I have to download it. Where's my library app? It was this one. Well, Mom, they discontinued that. They don't have it anymore. Well, why did they do that? I'm still using the damn thing. The apps that she figured out how to use, she was able to get by. But they changed one little thing, and that was it. Preschool educator for over 40 years. Natan mentioned it. Instilling love of family and art and Judaism and Israel, and just overall love of life. Thousands of children over the years. She didn't need technology for that. She needed a lesson plan, and somebody needed a lesson plan done. All right, what do we got? It was like the MacGyver. I didn't watch MacGyver, but you have a rubber band and a bottle of water and a piece of paper, and yeah, she could get some kind of project going. And everybody loved her. The Temple Shalom, where she worked, and then she went into retirement, and then they called her back out of retirement because they loved her. And then it was first part-time, and then it was full-time, and she pretty much dictated her terms, I guess, of coming back to work. I don't want to drive when it's snowing. Okay, that's fine. From what I've been told, Temple Shalom, they don't have preschool today because they shut down the preschool today so that the staff could come. Thank you so much all for coming. Everybody's kind of around, but you love my mom. My mom loved working there. She loved you guys. She read a lot, all the time. You'd see her on Shabbos after shul. That's what she'd be doing. She'd be reading. Nighttime, she'd be reading. We did get her in Kindle. She did have an app. She liked the paper books. That's what she would go. She'd go to the library. She'd come back. She'd have stacks of books. She'd read them again and find something new. And yeah. Natan mentioned and Ben mentioned Loki. And yes, if you're wondering, he is named after the Marvel character. That I think she knew what the name of her dog was going to be before before she even got him. She spent hours and hours of walking. She loved walking him. She'd be in the basement doing a puzzle. He'd be curled up on the couch. Or she'd be sitting, starting to rewatch the whole MCU cinematic universe from the start again. Maybe this time in chronological order or timeline order or however she wanted to do it. And he'd be right there next to her. Or he'd whine at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, which meant that's dinner time. Or he'd whine and say, all right, it's time to go out. And yeah, he had her wrapped around his finger or paw. She did everything that dog wanted. When we had dogs growing up, we were all dog people. We always have been. I'm a dog person. Ben's a dog person. Rob's a dog person. Harry, not so much. He tolerates them. But we always had dogs in the house, and many of you know me and my brothers by our, formal names. But my mom and our common name was Cheher Bet Hey you, get over here. So we're Hey you. She never got the dog's name wrong though. She loved animals in general, cared deeply for the animals and wildlife protection. You go through all of the junk mail, and it wasn't junk mail. Paws Chicago, Sierra Club, National Wildlife Federation, World Wildlife Federation. Those were the ones that came in the mail just a couple of days ago. Who knows what's going to be there tomorrow? She loved and cared for animals, and she was always donating. She hated chickens, though. She had to give chickens shots on the kibbutz, give them medicine, and she had many a story of scraped up arms, and she hated those chickens. She cooked, she baked, she had her recipes and recipe books with little scribbles in the margins of different things that she would do. I found the All Recipes app and was using that extensively and told my mom, hey, there's this one recipe, there's right here, and you could do this. I have my books, I have my notes. I don't need another app. It's fine. I got this. See, look, these are all my margins. I know what I'm doing. It's fine. She was a huge sports fan. Ruby knows she'd be decked out, especially when we were winning. Cubs gear, Blackhawks gear, Bears gear, just rooting for the team. She did have a reality check when my grandmother was 92 years old at the time. Harry came up to my mom and said, Mom, did you know that Grandma says she's a Sox fan? And my mom goes, no, that can't be. Mom, Harry says you're a Sox fan? Yeah, I grew up on the south side. I've been a Sox fan. The hell? We've been Cubs fans for decades. Why didn't you say anything? I didn't want to make a big deal about it. So that was a bit of a reality check for my mom. But she didn't convert. She stayed a Cubs fan. Israel started a 6-month trip, turned into 6 years. Me and my brothers, we went on Young Judea, and for camp. That's from my mom, where we got our love for Israel and continued our Jewish identity. And that's not to say at home we didn't Shabbos every Friday night, and we go to shul. And that was always a big part. When I was in Israel for my year, passports had to go get renewed, and my passport didn't come back because they had questions about my citizenship. So I called Mom and I said, Ma, they have questions about my citizenship. What's going on here? Oh no, there shouldn't be a problem with your citizenship. I made Aliyah before you were even born and before I met your dad. Mom, you made Aliyah, you're Israeli. That means I'm Israeli. Really? Okay. So we're Israeli. It didn't stop two of my brothers from completing it and making Aliyah and moving to Israel. So it just wasn't on paper. She always wanted to go back. Israel, that was her home. I was always pushing her to go back because that's where she really wanted to be. She didn't want to leave me. She didn't want to leave Rob. I said, you have two other brothers, you have two other sons there. It'd be fine. She says, okay, it's fine. I was looking for pictures, going back to the pictures, and what I was finding with all the pictures, there was nothing that I could find of her growing up with Iron, with Len and her parents. They have albums probably at home, so at some point I hope to get those, but I wish that those were there. These pictures are the ones that I was able to find, pulling out different pictures. With all the pictures I have on my phone, I wish I had more of my mom and me. All the pictures were of the kids, of me and my brothers vacationing, or weddings, or bar and bat mitzvahs. I wish I had more. Ben mentioned she was a strong woman. That's a bit of an understatement. She raised 4 kids, working for a full-time job and going to school at night for 7 years to earn her associate's degree. She cooked at the same time. She cleaned at the same time. She took us to shul every Shabbos. Yeah, and I didn't know anybody who didn't like her and wasn't touched by her or has some kind of funny story. And as I was writing this, none of those funny stories came to mind. I did find a a booklet that my mom was writing in. This was volume 1, the Deutch Family Vacation Diary and Trip Book, beginning 1987, July. That's when we first started taking trips. I will skip to the end for a second because it ended after a rather long and seemingly horrible trip to Baltimore or Philly, reading through it. Kids arguing in the car, things getting lost, our car getting broken into that's there, issues with the relatives not really knowing what to do, the siblings us being tired, my dad being on the phone with the police because they didn't find anything, and I guess Baltimore police aren't the best, according to this booklet. I don't know, but I found a couple of amusing things that I'd like to read. This was apparently Welcome to Georgia going through Atlanta. A screaming Benji and no place to stop to nurse him. So we gave him a bottle of baby apple juice, drank almost the whole bottle from the Gerber bottle. Add to the above another ounce of mixed fruit, a total of over 5.4 ounces. He was a baby, so obviously she's wondering. A hungry, now happy Benji. Harry and Chucky are fast asleep in the back seat. Now perhaps we can make up some time. Benji was making some funny faces. Oh no, not that. All over his shorts and the car seat cover. Hey, Dad just goofed, and we're back on the highway, headed north, instead of checking into our motel. This is from a few years later. We're in Missouri. I never thought that I would ever read what I'm about to read from my mom. Thank goodness for Atari. The boys have been downstairs playing with that game machine. They've all eaten breakfast. Laura and Patty are taking the 3 big guys to see Trail of Tears State Park. It kind of goes on from there, but thank goodness for Atari. I never would have thought I would have ever read that. What was that other one? I apologize. Man, now I can't find it. Oh, here we go. We all enjoyed the sun and surf, but after 3 hours, we said enough. Each day, the boys have to fight over the Atari, which by now is not receiving praise from me. So we have come full circle. Yeah. Here's a nice one. The park time was later in the day event, but Chuck decided to stay at the house. He has developed quite a fast crush on the very pretty Patty. Robbie was so wiped out, and I stayed home. Again, tonight was a horrendous sleeping event. The big boys slept on a mattress in the living room. 5:10 a.m., screaming children. That is all capitalized with multiple exclamation marks. I sure hope this won't last all week. I need to sleep. It kind of goes on. I wish I could think of more stories. I wish more came to mind. Ben mentioned a lot of very accurate information about long conversations with my mom. Frequently, me putting down the phone, going, getting something to eat, putting myself on mute, maybe watching something on television. Coming back to the phone, unmute, mute. Going back to what I was doing, and she's still going. And yeah, it was the conversation that she probably told me the week prior. It's okay. Yeah. Emma, your bat mitzvah's in a couple weeks, and she really wanted to be there. And she was planning with me and going to be helping out with stuff. And she loved you. And she loved you, Natan and Ezra. And she loved spending Shabbos with you guys and making gefilte fish. They don't eat the canned or the bottled gefilte fish. They only eat saftas. So we'll have to figure that out. She loved everybody very deeply. And everybody loved her. You couldn't not. I'm gonna miss her. She was my greatest advocate. I love you, Mommy. That's it.
Thank you, Chuck and Natan and Ben. You all truly painted a picture. I'm reminded of the Hebrew expression I think applies here. Dvarim min halev nichnasim lalev. Those words that come from one person's heart enter the hearts of others. And you've all done that here with love, devotion, and with a very beautiful depiction and description of a life well lived, though short. And I'll echo what has been said a few times, because this is what I recall. A person about whom nobody could say a bad word, was beloved by everyone, and found her way into everybody's heart. I have no doubt that the full, memorable life of Andrea Deutch, Chanafega, Bat Littman, Verickel will long be spoken about with love, great fondness, and tremendous admiration. We ask HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Almighty God, to send a measure of healing and comfort to Andrea's loving family members and friends and everyone she touched, to her loving children, Chuck, Harry and Annie, Ben, Robbie and Sarah, cherished grandchildren, Emma, Natan, Ezra, Eden, Nathaniel, Ella, Amalia, Eliana, Leon and Zoe, to her devoted siblings, Ira and Jenny, Len and Laura, nieces, nephews, cousins, other family members, those relatives and family members there, and to a legion of good, devoted, and loving friends. All those who were touched by Andrea in her lifetime, whose lives were made better and more enriched by her, we say in the Hebrew, Tehei nishmata tzuror b'tzorachayim. May her dear departed soul be bound up in the bonds of eternal life. Together we say, Amen. I offer at this time the Mizmor LeDavid, 23rd Psalm, which I'll chant first in the Hebrew and follow it up with the English translation. Mizmor LeDavid, Adonai roi lo echzor, binos teshe yarbitzeni, al mei menuchos inaleini. Nafshi yeshovev, nafshi yeshovev, yancheni magle tzedek, oy leman shemo, gam ki elech begeit zamoves, lo irara, ki ata imadi, shivtecha, umishantecha, shivtecha, umishantecha, hema yenachamuni, Taroch lefonai shulchan, taroch lefonai shulchan, taroch lefonai shulchan, neged tzoreroi, dishantov Hashem en roshi, dishantov Hashem en roshi. Dishantav Hashem en roshi, kosirevaya. Ach tov achesed, yirdefuni, kol yemei chayoy. Vishavti, Vishavti beveis Adonai, Vishavti beveis Hashem, Yorech Yamim. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He has me lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside the still waters. He guides me on paths of righteousness. He revives my soul for the sake of his glory. Though I walk in the valley of the shadow of death, I fear no evil, for you are with me. Your staff and your rod comfort me. You set a table in sight of my enemies. You anoint my head with oil. My cup overflows. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I shall abide in the house of the Lord forevermore. I offer at this time the Kermalei Rachamim, the memorial prayer, which is a short but poignant prayer which asks with humbleness of heart and humility that Almighty God judge Andrea's soul to be good and pure and to permit her into the highest levels of heaven, where we ask God to allow her to rest in peace. If it is not a hardship, I would ask you to please rise. El Malei Rachamim Shochein Bamromim Hametzei Menucha Nechona Tachas Kanfei Ashchina B'malos Kedoshim U'Tohorim K'Zorakia Masirim Es Nishmas Chana Fegel Bat Litman V'Rikel Sholcha Lolama Began Eden Tehei Menuchata Ana Bal Rachamim Astireha beseter kanafecha liolamim. Utzror b'tzrochaim et nishmata. Adonai unachlata. V'tanuach b'shalom amishkava. V'nomar. Amen. O God, exalted and full of compassion, grant perfect peace in your sheltering presence among the holy and pure, to the soul of Andrea Deutch, Chana Fegel, Bat Lippen Verikel, who has gone to her eternal home. Master of mercy, beseech you remember all the worthy and righteous deeds she performed here in the land of the living. May her soul be bound up in the bonds of life. The Lord is her portion. May she rest in peace. And together we say, Amen. You may be seated.
Friends, this concludes our service here at the chapel. Interment will take place immediately at the family plot at West Lawn Cemetery. Upon return from the cemetery later today, the family will be sitting Shiva at the Deutch residence, 610 Maple Drive in Buffalo Grove, Illinois. That information, as well as the times, are available on the folder you received. If you did not receive one, they are available on the way out. And for those who are joining us on the live stream, that information is available on the funeral home website. Memorial contributions in Andrea's memory can be made to the Friends of the Israel Defense Forces. That information is on the folders as well. For those who wish to join the family procession to the cemetery, one will be forming just outside our chapel. If you're planning on joining the procession, please make sure you obtain an orange funeral safety sticker that will be placed on the inside passenger side windshield, as well as a magnetic flag that can be placed on the rooftop portion of your vehicle. While in procession, please make sure your bright lights and hazard lights are on at all times. Please drive as closely to the car in front of you as safety permits, especially as we drive through intersections, particularly as we want to avoid any large gaps from forming. Please use your horn liberally while in procession. Please try to stay off your phone while in procession as well. At this time, I'm going to ask cousins to help serve as pallbearers, as well as some of the grandchildren to serve as honorary pallbearers as well. If you could please rise and stand next to Andrea's casket. At this time, I ask everyone to please rise as we escort the casket, the family, and the rabbi from the chapel. Friends, there's plenty of room under the canopy. You can gather however you feel comfortable.
Family and friends, as you gather under the canopy, you may have noticed we made 7 short stops on the way walking from the hearse to the gravesite. The 7 stops are a symbol of our belief, something I mentioned back in the chapel, of the 7 levels of heaven, and it's our hope and our prayer that Almighty God will be compassionate, merciful to Andrea's neshama, to her soul, permitting her to rest in peace in that 7th highest level of heaven. Thus, the 7 stops is a parallel to our hope and our belief that God, in His mercy, will permit Andrea's neshama to rest in peace in that highest level. In just a moment, I'm going to include some soil from Eretz Israel, the land of Israel, in the grave. And as I believe there should be no empty rituals, ceremonies, or traditions, I will owe you one explanation following my putting the soil from the land of Israel into the grave. Jewish tradition teaches that at a time of God's choosing, on God's calendar, all people of all faiths, if deemed to be worthy, having earned a place of favor in God's eyes, will be rewarded for their goodness with a return to life at a time sometime in the future. Truth is, we know very little about what we expect that world to come to look like. There are all kinds of theories. It will be like this, it'll be like that. But of course, no one knows for certain. But we hold on to that faithfulness that on God's calendar, those who are deemed worthy of such will return to a time of messianic peace and a coming together of family members in what we hope and expect to be a joyous family reunion celebration. We don't know if that time will be physical like this, spiritual, souls, or something we can't even imagine. But we hold on to that belief that we will be together on God's calendar at the time of God's choosing. And we believe that the return to life will begin first in the land of Israel. Within Israel, it'll begin in Jerusalem, the undivided capital of the Jewish people. And in Jerusalem, it will start at the Mount of Olives. It is for that reason we include in the grave some soil gathered at the base of the Mount of Olives, including it in the grave as a sign of our belief and expectation that a return to life will begin there at the Mount of Olives, spread all over Jerusalem, spread all over Israel, and spread all over the world, thus giving us that hope and that prayer that family members who are now separated will be together in the aforementioned reunion and celebration of a family celebration at that time. As the cover will be placed in its proper place in the grave, I offer Tzadok Hadin, the only lengthy prayer in this service, which I will translate excerpts from. It is a poetic prayer, one that speaks of God as the true judge, having a plan, one that we don't always understand, one we do our best to accept. And I will translate excerpts from the prayer Tzadok Hadin. Atzur tamim palo ki chol derchav mishpat el emunah ve'ein avel tzadik v'yashar hu. Atzur tamim b'chol poal mi yomar lo matifal hashalit b'mata v'mamal v'misum chaya morich ol vayal. Atzur tamim b'chol maseh mi yomar lo mata seh ha'omer v'yoseh chesed chinam lanu ha'taseh u'vizchus ha'nekad keseh hakshiva v'aseh. Tzadik b'chol derchav atzur tamim erech apayim u'malei rachamim. Righteous in all his ways, the rock of all time is. He is filled with kindness and is filled with mercy for us. Chamol no chusval no halavos uvanim ki lecha adonas ichos v'arachamim tzatikata Adonai lamis achayos asher b'yadcha pikton kol ruchos chalilecha uzrochronenu limchos yuna einecha b'rachamim alinu b'ruchos ki lecha adon harachamim v'atzlichos Adam im ben shana yeh o elef shanim yichiyeh ma yisrael no Kolo haya yeh Baruch Dayan ha'emes me'misum chayeh. Blessed is the true judge who makes his judgments over life and death. Baruch hu ki emes dino mishotet hakol beino misholem li'adam cheshbano v'dino v'akol lishmo hadeya yitenu yadanu Adonai tzedek bishpatecha titzdak b'dovrecha v'tizkeh b'shoftecha ve'en l'harher achar midas shoftecha tzedik ata Adonai v'yashar mishpatecha. Righteous are you, Almighty God, and straight away in all of your judgments. Dayan emes shofet tzedek v'emes baruch dayan emes shekol mishpatav tzedek v'emes nefesh kol chai v'yadcha tzedek mala yiminecha rachem al peitas tzon yadecha v'tzomar melamach herav yadecha gadol ha'itzav arav aliyah asher inecha pekuchos al kol derchei b'nei adam laseis le'ish ki drachav v'chefri v'malav la'adki ki asher Adonai tzuri v'lo avosabo Adonai nasan v'Adonai lakach yehi shem Adonai mevorach. The Lord has given, the Lord has taken. Blessed be the sovereign name of the Lord forevermore. V'hu rachum yechaper avon v'lo yashchis v'yarbal yeshiva po v'lo ya'ir kol chamaso. Family and friends, you'll notice in front of us a pail of soil as well as 2 shovels on both sides of the grave. Family has asked respectfully, as a sign of love, devotion, and commitment, that we complete the filling in of the grave by family members and friends as a testament of the commitment and love we have for Andrea in her lifetime and now to her neshama in this aftertime. The tradition is for family members, friends come forward to perform this act of kindness, and our sages teach us that this is not only an act of kindness, allowing the neshama, the soul, to ascend to the heavens above, from which we all began and to which we all return, but it's a chesed shel emes of the highest form of kindness, which may strike you as a curiosity. Why putting a shovel full of earth in the grave is the highest form of kindness? The answer comes back that in life, when we do a favor for somebody, we may expect a favor in return. There's nothing wrong with that. It's not evil, it's not sinister. If you're good, we are good, you expect that people will act in a reciprocal fashion, but that's the point. Here and now, there is no reciprocity. Children would say, well, it's fair that way, one does for the next. But Andrea, right now, at this time, cannot pay you back for your kindness. If you put in a shovel full of earth or more, you are performing this without any expectation of payback, of a reciprocal favor, or any kindness on her part to you. You do it for the most decent, authentic, and sincere reasons possible. If you are somebody for whom this is not comfortable, I can't tell you how to feel, but I urge you not to beat yourself up with guilt, either forcing yourself to do so or feeling guilty if you choose not to. There are other ways we pay our respects. There is no set number of shovelfuls. You may have heard over the years 3, 7, 10, 12. I've heard the same thing, but there is no designated number. If you come forward and put in a single shovelful of earth, you have acted in accord with this kindness. If your heart directs you to do more, by all means, there's no maximum. I would ask you, however, to fight the inclination to do the polite thing, which would be to turn and give the shovel to the next person. Rather, I'm going to ask you, if you use the pail, to put the small shovel back in the pail. If you're using the 2 shovels on either side of the grave, to lay it down on the ground or put it in the mound of earth. And the reason is very simple. If this is this chesed shel emes, this highest form of kindness I've spoke of, then each person coming forward to participate will want to have participated from start to finish with this act of ultimate kindness and be credited, as it were, with having performed this act of kindness. If, however, you forget and you just by automatic inclination give the shovel to the next person, I do want to reassure you, you have not performed a grievous sin. You can line up behind the pail or on either side of the grave. Naturally, I direct you to be as careful as possible, to come slowly. The ground is uneven and soft. And after you've put in your shovel full of earth, to return to the canopy. Begin with the family in front. Come forward, please. At any one time, multiple people can be putting in their shovelfuls of earth. There is no disrespect intended, certainly none taken.
You want to focus on the area closer, so that the cemetery picture real quick. yourself. You're just going to push over there a foot or two. Would that be okay? A little closer to it. You want to play the front. About a little 36. Take it in the Friends, if anybody else wishes to participate, please come forward at this time.
That bucket as well?
No, shovel it. It's more respectful to shovel it.
I just needed your hand.
By way of explanation, something you've not typically seen. The water has soaked in a lot of the soil. In order for us to comply with what the halacha calls for, the law of tzuras hakever, that at least be a dignified, appropriate grade, for each gentleman to bring more soil, because this is clearly not going to be flushed to ground level. So they're going to bring more soil. We can continue doing this, but it needs to be so it's proper, dignified, tzuras hakever, what would be what Andrea would deserve. And you can't continue. In the meantime, you're going to bring more soil.
Actually, Israel, you know what would also be a help? You can see the dirt that's around the edges. Can you scrape that to go in?
Sorry. Sorry about that.
So all the dirt you can see outside. Yeah, that's good.
Tom will bring more.
Go around. Take your right line.
Family and friends, I'm certain you heard the previous announcement that we're going into the cemetery getting more soil because water has soaked in the soil such that it does not cover the soil sufficiently so the grave is not flushed to the ground. What we can and will do, and we're doing everything according to God's procedure, that is according to God's law, not technical standards. How it can be said that consume our own. Consume our own is the appropriate covering of the coffin, and that has taken place. The cottage can be said, and if at that point anyone needs to return to the house to go about engaging between them, no disrespect, we will have concluded the service. Now, we are going to continue to work but that does not necessitate our waiting for purposes of saying cottage. So cottage is going to be the last prayer. We'll say our here now. For those who are here to respond at the appropriate places. And then, if one chooses or needs to be leaving, the service will have been concluded. We are going to, I know I'm repeating, but we'll fill in the rest of the word, but the service will have at least been ended in a proper and respectful manner.
Let's get your phones. Here we go. And you, Myra? Yeah. Okay.
Whoa, this is
It's uneven, so.
a little.
Yeah.
You're doing okay.
I'll do it here. I take it with me everywhere.
Rabbi, we're going to do the longer.
Regular Kaddish. Just regular Kaddish. Everybody here wants and needs to be here. Okay? So.
Regular cottage, right?
It's regular Kaddish now. There's a story about the other, if it's earlier in the day, the yellow parts are included in. We are now past Katzos, so yeah. So we say regular Kaddish. This week is Mizrach, which east is here. In Israel, you don't typically have to, depending where you live, but here we face east here. Glenn, you up? Okay. All right. East this way. Okay. Together. Yiskadal, Yiskadash, Meirabah.
Amen.
Yomad, Yivrach, Yirusei, Yamlich, Machusei, Achayachom, Yomechom, Chayei, V'chol Beis Yisrael, Ha'nallah, V'ismat Kariv, V'imru, Amen. Yehei Shmei, Rabba, Mevorach, Yolam, Amen. Yisparach, Yishtabach, Yispahar, Yisromam, Yisnaseh, Yisador, Yisalev, Yisalal, Shmei Kudusha, Ridku, La'ela, Min Kol Berchasa, V'shirasa, Tushdachasa, V'nechasa, Ta'amiran, Yoma, V'imru, Amen. Yehei Shlama, Rabba, Min Shemaya, V'chaim Aleinu, Ya'akol Yisrael, V'imru, Amen. Oseh Shalom B'imramav, Hu Yaseh Shalom Aleinu V'Yal Yisrael V'Imru Amen. Once again, we have concluded the service. If anyone wants or needs to return to your cars, into your daily routine, we'll conclude this portion with the traditional words of Nechama of comfort. Hamakom yirachem etchem b'toch she'ar avelei Tzion v'Yerushalayim. May the family and family members and friends be comforted along with the mourners of Zion and Jerusalem. May you go forward with much comfort, support, and healing, which really only HaKadosh Baruch Hu, only Almighty God can provide. Wishing everybody well. And we will remain then to put in the rest of the earth.